The gleaming headquarters of Barrett Industries rose 60 stories into the Manhattan skyline, its glass and steel facade reflecting the morning sun. I walked through the lobby in my deliberately modest business suit, watching the executives hurry past in their designer clothes and luxury watches. None of them recognized me, despite the fact that I technically owned the building, along with most of the company they worked for. "Can I help you?" The receptionist's voice carried that particular tone reserved for people who didn't look important enough to be there. "I'm here for the board meeting," I said, adjusting my simple leather bag, which had cost more than her annual salary but deliberately lacked any visible designer labels. She laughed politely. "The board meeting? That's for executives only. The intern orientation is on the 3rd floor." If only she knew that her job, her building, and most of her company now belonged to the person she was dismissing as an intern. That while Barrett Industries celebrated their supposed success, I'd been quietly buying their shares through a complex web of shell companies. "Actually, I have an invitation." I produced the heavy cream envelope that had arrived last week. Not an invitation so much as a notification of the emergency board meeting I'd orchestrated. The receptionist examined it with obvious skepticism. "There must be some mistake," Miss Catherine Barrett specifically said. "Let me handle this," a familiar voice cut in. My stepsister Catherine clicked toward us in Louboutin heels, every inch the entitled executive in her designer suit and perfectly styled hair. She'd spent the last 10 years making sure everyone knew she was the real Barrett heir, while I was just the unwanted reminder of my father's first marriage. "Olivia." She managed to make my name sound like an unfortunate medical condition. "What are you doing here?" And through the main entrance, no less. "Hello, Catherine." I kept my voice pleasant, remembering how this same woman had spent years ensuring I was excluded from every family business event. "I'm here for the board meeting." She laughed, the sound echoing off the marble walls. "The board meeting? Don't be absurd. That's for actual executives, not someone who plays with computers in some startup office." If she only knew that my startup office occupied 3 floors in a much more prestigious building downtown. That Stellar Technologies, my company, had revolutionized corporate software and artificial intelligence. That while she was playing executive with our father's money, I'd built something worth billions. "I have an invitation," I said simply. Catherine snatched the envelope from my hands, her French manicure glinting under the lobby lights. "This must be a mistake. I personally oversee all board communications." She turned to the receptionist. "Call security. We can't have random people disrupting important meetings." "Actually," a new voice interrupted, "Ms. Barrett's presence is not only expected, it's required." Thomas Weber, the company's longtime secretary and my secret ally in this takeover, approached with a professional smile. "The board is waiting, Ms. Barrett." Catherine's perfect composure cracked slightly. "The board doesn't meet with the majority shareholder?" Thomas supplied helpfully. "I believe they'll make an exception." The silence that followed was absolute. Catherine's designer clutch slipped from her manicured fingers. "Majority shareholder?" she whispered. "Through Stellar Technologies," Thomas confirmed. "The acquisition was finalized last night. Quite a generous offer. Helped clear all the company's outstanding debts." Catherine's face had gone from professionally bronzed to pale. But that's impossible. Stellar Technologies is a billion-dollar company. Olivia just has that little software startup. "That little software startup went public last year," I informed her quietly. "Though you might have known that if you'd ever bothered to learn what I actually do instead of just assuming I was beneath you." The elevator dinged, and our father emerged, his confident stride faltering when he saw me. "Olivia, this is a private meeting. Executive level only." "Yes," I smiled. "It is." Thomas cleared his throat. "Mr. Barrett, your daughter." "Stepdaughter," Catherine cut in sharply. "Your daughter," Thomas continued smoothly, "is here as Stellar Technologies representative, and as the company's new majority shareholder." My father's face went through a fascinating series of expressions, landing somewhere between shock and calculation. "That's not possible. We would have known if someone was buying controlling interest." "Would you?" I raised an eyebrow. "Like you knew someone was buying your subsidiary companies last year? Or acquiring your real estate holdings? Or financing your competitors?" The color drained from his face as understanding dawned. All those mysterious market changes, the subtle shifts in power, the gradual erosion of Barrett Industries' dominance. It had all been me. "The board is waiting," Thomas reminded us. "Shall we?" The Barrett Industries boardroom was exactly as I remembered it from the last time I'd been kicked out. All mahogany and leather, old money trying desperately to look permanent. 20 of New York's most powerful executives sat around the massive table, their expressions shifting from confused to shocked as I walked in. "What is this?" Catherine stepped forward. "The boardroom is for executives only. The intern can wait outside." "Actually," Thomas raised his voice, "allow me to introduce our new majority shareholder and chairperson, Ms. Olivia Barrett, CEO of Stellar Technologies." 20 jaws dropped simultaneously. Catherine's perfect composure shattered completely. "No," she whispered. "That's impossible." "Nothing's impossible," I replied calmly, taking my seat at the head of the table, her seat, until about 12 hours ago. Just improbable to those who never bothered to look past their own assumptions. The next hour was a masterpiece of long-awaited revelation, as I detailed exactly how I'd outmaneuvered them. How Stellar Technologies had spent years developing software that transformed corporate operations. How we'd used that same technology to quietly gain control of Barrett Industries through a complex web of shell companies and proxy votes. As of 9 o'clock this morning, I announced to the stunned board, Stellar Technologies owns 51% of Barrett Industries' voting shares. We'll be implementing immediate changes to the executive structure, starting with the CEO position. Catherine, who had been clutching her designer chair like a life raft, straightened suddenly. "You can't just walk in here and take over. I'm the CEO. Father appointed me." "Actually," I smiled, sliding a document across the polished table, "the board will be voting on new leadership in about 30 seconds. Though spoiler alert, you're not going to like the outcome." My father, who had been uncharacteristically quiet, finally found his voice. "Now, Olivia, surely we can discuss this like family." "Family?" I cut him off. "Was it family when you let Catherine push me out of my rightful place here? When you dismissed my career choices? When you spent years making sure I knew exactly how little you thought of me?" The board members shifted uncomfortably as decades of family drama played out before them. "That was different," he protested weakly. "You were interested in technology, not real business." "Real business?" I laughed. "Stellar Technologies is worth 3 times what Barrett Industries was worth before I started acquiring it. Our software runs half the Fortune 500. While you were protecting Catherine's fragile ego, I built something bigger than you could imagine." Catherine had moved from shocked to desperate. "The family legacy is now my legacy," I finished for her. "Along with every other asset Barrett Industries thought it controlled. The real estate portfolio? Mine. The subsidiary companies? Also mine. That fancy AI system you bragged about implementing last year? I sold it to you through one of my shell companies. You've been working for me without even knowing it." Thomas appeared with another stack of documents. "The SEC filing just went public," he reported. "And Ms. Catherine's termination papers are ready." "Termination," she squeaked. "Effective immediately," I confirmed. "Though don't worry about cleaning out your office. Security has already packed up your things. They'll be delivered to your apartment." I paused. "Oh wait, I own that building now too. Make that your former apartment." The next few hours were a blur of signatures, legal documents, and increasingly desperate attempts by my family to maintain some control. But the evidence was irrefutable. Stellar Technologies owned everything, and their reign was over. The press had a field day with the story. Tech billionaire reveals identity in shocking corporate takeover. Ran alongside Barrett heir ousted by stepsister they dismissed as intern. Social media exploded with the delicious irony of it all. Catherine tried to fight back, of course. She hired lawyers, attempted to rally shareholders, even tried to claim I was mentally unfit to run the company. But the evidence was ironclad, the acquisition legal, and her own years of mismanagement well documented. "Your personal items from the apartment have been moved to storage," my assistant reported a week later. "And Ms. Catherine's company car has been repossessed. Have her things donated," I instructed. To that women's business organization, she always refused to support because it wasn't executive level enough. My father attempted one last appeal, coming to my new office, formerly his office, with a practiced display of paternal concern. "You've made your point," he said, sinking into a visitor's chair that probably cost more than Catherine's first car. "Now let's discuss how to move forward as a family." "Move forward?" I raised an eyebrow. "Like you moved forward after Mom died? Replacing her with Catherine's mother, replacing me with Catherine, replacing everything that didn't fit your perfect corporate image." That was business, he protested weakly. No, I corrected him. That was cruelty disguised as business. But you taught me well. I learned exactly how to take what I want, regardless of family ties. The changes came swiftly after that. Barrett Industries was absorbed into Stellar Technologies, its outdated practices replaced with innovative approaches. The executive dining room became a collaborative workspace. The hierarchy flattened. Success was measured by merit, not family connections. Catherine tried to start her own company, but it turned out that actually running a business was harder than inheriting one. She now works as a junior analyst at a small firm in Connecticut, the only place that would hire her after the scandal. The final touch was the new company logo I unveiled a month later. The Stellar Technologies star merged with the Barrett Industries crown, with a simple tagline beneath. Success isn't inherited, it's earned. I kept Catherine's nameplate from the CEO's office, though. It sits on my desk next to Stellar's first patent, a reminder that sometimes the best revenge isn't just succeeding. It's succeeding so spectacularly that your enemies have to read about it in the Wall Street Journal while clearing out their offices. My father still sends emails occasionally, trying to negotiate some sort of reconciliation. I have them automatically forwarded to the same folder, where I keep the documentation of how he and Catherine conspired to push me out years ago. The boardroom where I was once told to wait outside? Now it's an innovation center, where young entrepreneurs pitch ideas regardless of their family connections. Catherine's executive bathroom was converted into a meditation room. And that massive portrait of her in the lobby? Replaced with a digital display showing real-time stock prices, including Stellar Technologies' continued rise and Barrett Industries' absorption into my company. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in taking over someone's company. It's in transforming it into something they never had the vision to imagine. And sometimes the best revenge isn't just succeeding. It's succeeding so spectacularly that your enemies have to watch their legacy disappear while standing in the lobby of the building they thought you'd never be good enough to enter. Thanks for watching. See you again in the next video. Stay stunned.